welcome back. Welcome back to the Awesome Life Podcast. I'm Karen Stultz, your host today, and I am here with the most amazing lady, Colleen Biggs. Colleen, I've known for a while, but this is actually the first time that we've actually been one-on-one. I am so thrilled to have her, and I think you will be inspired as well. She believes that we are all unique and we possess God-given talents and strengths that make us unbreakable. And I totally agree. You can capitalize on these strengths and you can lean into your purpose and drive revenue to you, which is really kind of nice to have when you are out there thinking, gee, it would be nice to have more money. We could do more things, more time, more energy. Her husband actually has told her that she can pull money out of thin air, and it's true. She is a performance consultant with over 22 years of experience. She supports women to move from surviving in their business to thriving through strategic wealth building. Her mission is to empower successful women leaders who are ready, repeat, ready to have clients show up, be a bigger part of their business, and have them share their fullest potential, their peak potential, so they can really inspire change in others. She is the founder of LEAP. The concept of LEAP is that when you step out of the shadows into the light, you will shine and expand your influence and attract your ideal clients. So welcome, Colleen. It is a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, Karen. I'm so honored to be able to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
Well, it is totally my pleasure. But I am curious, how did you get into this amazing, successful entrepreneurial business that inspires others?
You know how people say they're a 10-year overnight success, right? It's kind of funny how they say that because in this business, you're not an overnight success. So, 22 years ago, I started coaching entrepreneurs and CEOs of businesses to launch businesses. That was 340 some businesses ago. So I've done what I would call on the job training of working with entrepreneurs. And I'm glad that you mentioned that in the introduction about becoming a champion. And it really is true. When we work on ourselves to become and reach our peak potential, understand the clarity of what we're doing, really tap into our strengths, our knowledge, our experiences, everything that make us who we are today, that is how we become unbreakable, invincible, unstoppable, and unshakable. And I don't mean that in a way that sounds like we have no feelings, right? We can never be knocked down, because we can be knocked down and we will be knocked down, and you should expect failure. However, it's how quick you get back up again. We don't allow it to paralyze us. So in working with women, female leaders, executives, entrepreneurs today, the goal is for us to lean into our fullest purpose. And many of us don't ever reach that level of what our peak performance or peak potential could possibly be. And there's several factors of things that hold us back from that. And one simple thing could be clarity, just really understanding and getting clear on what we want, why we want it, what we're good at, what our skill sets are, and then aligning that with our business. And I provide clarity for women, get into the map of their world, understand who they are, see them from an outside perspective, what their skills, knowledge, and experience is, and wrap all that up so that they can create what I call an acceleration blueprint for them to be able to draw income very quickly in their business.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So there are certain things that one does need And clarity is number one. In the Awesome Life Success System, we do awareness and allowing. And awareness is clarity is part of awareness. Yeah. What's going on? What's holding you back? And a lot of people have come to me and said, geez, I know there's something inside. I just don't know what it is, but I know there's something I'm meant to do. Do you have a couple of questions or tips for women who might be in that boat of how they can get that clarity?
Yeah. So, it's very interesting because I could look at my skill sets, my knowledge. For example, I'm a first-degree black belt. And at one point, I thought that I wanted to open up a Taekwondo school and become an entrepreneur and teach children Taekwondo. Then I realized that I started teaching it at the school. Then I realized that I really enjoyed the sport. I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed what it did for me and pushing me past my limits, but I didn't really enjoy the teaching part of it so much. So that was when I realized, I don't know if this is for me, just because I enjoy the sport. Another thing happened as I became a certified personal trainer. Someone had asked me, have you ever thought about teaching? I have been working out, doing CrossFit, running, some type of exercise my entire life. And so I thought, well, no, I've never thought about teaching, but that sounds really great. So I studied for the exam, failed it the first time, by the way, by 5 points. So I had to pay another fee, retake the exam weeks later to pass it. So just because we fail doesn't mean we stop. Remember, we need to keep going to push through. So I passed the exam the second time around and I became a personal trainer. And for 2 years, I taught group classes, individuals. And again, I wasn't in love with it. It was fun and it was great, but I enjoyed the working out. I enjoyed pushing myself and following someone teaching a class more so than I enjoyed being the one creating the classes, writing the scripts. It lost its luster to me. So I'm using these as examples to share with your listeners on how we can be lit up by something that we love, like working out is something I absolutely love doing, pushing myself to, past limits in my body physically. But it's not that that's what I want to do for a living. It lights me up physically for myself, but not for me to do it with other people. So I bring up that point because what does light me up and questions that I ask women is, what is it that you could do day in and day out, and you never get exhausted from it? You crave it, you enjoy it. I spent a week with my grandkids. Usually once a year, one of my kids will go out of town. I'll watch my grandkids for a week or 5 days or something like that. And when I'm with my grandkids, it's always like, oh, this is going to be such a great break. I'm not going to have to work as much. I'm going to just spend time with them, take them to the splash pad, drive them to dance, take them to school. And then I realize about day 2 or 3 that I'm exhausted. This is the reason why I had a career, the reason why I was not a stay-at-home mom, the reason why I'm not a stay-at-home grandma is for those reasons. It doesn't light me up. It does not fill me. They fill me and I love them. But being that stay at home all day long, taking care of kids is not fulfilling to me. And that doesn't mean that I'm a bad mom or a bad grandmother. It just means that's not what lights me up. It actually exhausts me. So when I got back into coaching that week when they were at school, I was just like on fire, lit up with my clients, just grasping my screen saying, I'm so happy to be here coaching with you and working with you and leading my book club and leading my events, because that is what lights me up. It's what I crave. It's what I love to do. And I'm never tired. I mean, I could do it for hours on end and the time just passes. So ask yourself the question, what is it with a culmination of your skill sets, your knowledge, your experience? What have you done in the past that when you talk to another person, and I like to have them ask, have another person ask you the question, because it's the perspective of the other person that matters. And I'll tell you why. I could probably tell you, Karen, or I could figure out and write it down on paper myself what lights me up. But when another person sees you light up and sees your expressions change, your voice changes. I was talking on the phone with a gentleman who was helping me create courses, and I was just in agony trying to create these courses several years ago. You could tell it wasn't the right time for me to create courses. I didn't know how to create them. I didn't know what I wanted to create. It was like putting a fork in my eye is how I felt. And he kept saying, well, what do you want to create a course about? And I was just struggling with what I would create this course over. And he said, tell me what you love to do. What is it you really love to do? If you could do it tomorrow, what was it? And this was right when I took the leap out of corporate America and I started my big community. So everything that I was pouring my heart into was building a community for women to network, to be able to get exposure, to step into the spotlight, to be on platforms. So coaching wasn't something I was focusing on at that moment, but it's what I had done for 18 years, right? So he said, what is it that you really love? I said, oh, I just love working with business owners and helping them scale their bit. And then I just lit up. And he said, whoa, stop for just a second. I don't know why you're building these courses or doing what you're doing right now, but when you talk about coaching, when you talk about working with business owners, your whole demeanor changes. Your voice goes up. You start talking faster. You're excited. That's what you need to be doing. And I was like, I knew this the whole time. Just like you said, Karen, they know it. It's in them. They just don't know how to get it out of them to realize what it is. Talking it out with another person and a person really digging in and saying, what is it that you really want? If you could design your life tomorrow, what would it look like? It looks different for all of us, Karen.
It does. It absolutely
my
does.
Success, my life, how much money I make, what my free time looks like, what my time with my family looks like, what I do in my work looks totally different than another person. So we can't define success as a linear object. It just isn't. It isn't. So that is when I talk about getting into the map of the world of somebody else. We must become aware that we're either happy with what we're doing or not happy with what we're doing. And if we're not happy, we need to identify why and be honest with ourselves, because a lot of shame and guilt come into this. But if you allow shame and guilt and fear to debilitate you to where you cannot proceed, then you'll always stay stuck, just like you talked about. They'll just remain in one place. That's not where happiness lives. It's not where joy lives. It's not where success lives. It's where anxiety, depression, fear, that's where that lives. So it's very important that you surround yourself with listening to podcasts, people, places, things, events that validate your success, that validate where you desire to be. Because if we're vibrating at a very anxious, depressive state of fear, we must, it's the law, attract all of the people's, places, things, and events to validate that. And we get to choose.
I love it. I love everything you said, because it's exactly what I say. So of course I love it. And I love the fact that it is validation. And I know that held me back for many, many, many years, because I was not surrounding myself with people who really knew what it was and could guide. And like you, when I talked about coaching, when I started getting into this back in 2001, I was elated, and it lit me up. And the way I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I didn't know how I was going to make any money or be a coach or anything. But when I was explaining what coaching was and how it improved my life, people would say, oh my gosh, I can see how passionate you are, just like your person. And that is the validation. And also the awareness and the allowing the awareness to come through, because as you say, it isn't linear. It is almost a constant up and down. But the thing to keep in mind is that you are moving forward and you can never go back to the way it was. It just, you can't do it. And I tried. I went down a deep, deep hole, Colleen. It was like, all right, I just have to find a way to live a miserable life. That's all there is to it, because I can't do anything else. And it was horrible. But with the awareness and the allowing, and honestly, journaling helps a lot with that. Very strange things started happening that validated that I was on the right track. And if I stopped now, yes, I would be miserable. I would die with regret. And that was the whole reason I got into coaching, was so I would not die with regret.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, I have been validated again from the universe. I am on the right track. This is exactly what I need to do, because it is what brought me joy. So that I love everything you said, obviously.
Yeah, I think, you and I aren't the only women that are aligned in that. There's many women that have risen to be the leaders, to blaze the trails, to take what it is that we've learned. I learned a lot of lessons in corporate America, and I'm very thankful. As much as I look back at that experience and see, to me, all the tragedies and the things that happened that I never stood up for myself for, I learned a lot. I grew a lot, to the point now where I really feel unemployable. If I were to get a job, it would be very difficult for me to accept kind of the quote unquote rules in corporate America, because I've been able to have the freedom and choice of time, who I work with, the projects I work on. And I think that's the other important piece. Identifying who the demographic is that you want to serve. And when I first came out of corporate America, Karen, like many entrepreneurs that I meet, I ask them, who do you want to serve? And they say, everybody.
Yeah. No.
And I say, that's great. I wanted to do the same thing, but it's impossible. You will impact many thousands, millions by the time you're done, but you can't serve everyone. So let's really identify who is that individual that you're working with. Think about the clients that you have today. Who's that avatar? Who are the ones that you actually don't really want to work with? I know that's sad to say. Who are the ones that you want to duplicate, replicate, because they're amazing clients? And that's really who you will filter all your marketing through. That's who you're talking to. It's who you want to work with. It's who you're directing your messages to. It's the podcast that you're going to be on. We are always going through transitions in our life, believe it or not. Transitions in, age, transitions in jobs, transitions in career, transitions even in your own business, where you transition from being a starter company or, business to being a business that is now up and running and generating, regular income. And then you might transition again to wealth building. You might transition again to scaling. You might transition again to pulling yourself back from being the cog in the wheel in the business, hiring and offloading some of those tasks now to where you're working, 10 to 20 hours a week, and you have a team that's doing most of the other work for you. So you have a different position and are evolving throughout your life. Your relationships are evolving. My husband and I are empty nesters now. So we're not in the grind of being parents like we were several years ago anymore. I have the luxuries of having a quiet house, of coming and going as I please, of living outside school boundaries, of visiting my grandchildren, spoiling them, and then leaving them with their parents, right? these are all the transitions that happen throughout our lives. So we're never done transitioning. We really aren't.
Never done transitioning, never done learning, because as we grow and we recognize what brought us light before, and it just may not be bringing us that light anymore because circumstances have changed.
That's right.
You focused around school. Well, now you're empty nesters. Let's find out what else can bring me that light and create that freedom, honor the freedom and the peace that comes with what we're doing. But I have to ask you more, Colleen. LEAP, I see your sign behind you. Mm-hmm. And tell us more about LEAP, because I know so many people that are just saying how amazing your community at LEAP is. And it's phenomenal. Everybody I know, it seems like, oh yeah, I know Colleen Biggs. She's the leader at LEAP. So tell us more.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And it's so nice to know that I've created that movement in women, and LEAP stands for so many things, but the acronym and why I built LEAP many years ago was about leading with enhanced acceleration to reach your peak performance or your peak potential. And that's why I talked a little bit about that blueprint, that acceleration blueprint. So when I created LEAP, LEAP was created as a coaching program. It was created to take women from where they were in their businesses to get them where they want to go, right? Acceleration, peak performance looks different for every individual. Just depends on what we're willing to put into it. So it's about what are your goals, and let's get a plan together to get you there, right? That's what this, and accelerate that momentum to move it quicker, to whether it's drive income quicker, get you backed out of the business quicker, sell your business faster, whatever it may be, right? And so that's what LEAP stands for. But there's another piece of LEAP that I want to explain to your listeners today. We have two choices in life. We're either going to consistently take steps forward, right? And that is a definite, sure, certainty way of climbing, right? You just keep taking one step in front of the other. I tend to think that is the longest route around to do things right now. That would be the difference for me of walking versus running. I was a runner for many years. So walking's great and I enjoy it. And I can do it for long distance, in long periods of time. However, I get the most out of, lose the most weight, feel fitter, cardiovascular wise by running, right? So that's an accelerated way of walking as an example. So taking the leap is about going after what you really want. It's about it's about facing the fear and doing it anyway, knowing that you're going to create stories that are going to stop yourself, that you're going to have disbeliefs, that you're not going to believe in something, but you still have the faith, right? The leap of faith. It's about taking the leap. I created and rebranded the podcast that I've been working on for 4 years to take the leap, because for many years I was working with women in speaking up and being leaders and using their voices to get what it is that they wanted, because that was something that happened to me in corporate America, where I didn't always get the opportunity to speak up. I was snuffed out a lot, being in the type of environment I was in. So I wanted women to have a voice. But really where I'm at now in the acceleration that I've had in my business and working with other women is we have to take the leap. When I took the leap from corporate America, I didn't know where I was going to land. I didn't know how much money I was going to be able to make. I didn't have a safety net of, a savings that I could dip into. I literally was willing to do whatever it took. If I couldn't pay my mortgage, I was willing to sell my house and get a smaller place to have more money to build my business. I was willing to do what it took. And this is a place that is a little contention Because in order to build your self-esteem, in order to build your self-confidence, in order to believe in yourself that you can accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, you must be in action. I see it too many times that women aren't doing the things that they need to do. And you can't sit and manifest for people just to drop into your lap. You've got to get out there and tell everyone about you. And people ask me that question: how did you build your following so quickly? How did you build your authority? How did you build your community so quickly? I said, I got out there and told everyone who I was and what I was doing.
Yeah, you didn't sit at home and work on your website.
No, never.
And do my sign up sheet and play on social media 127 hours a day. That does not, so knowing the right steps, I can't tell you how many people have come to me and say, well, I'm doing it all, but you know what? I can't get out there until I have my website done. No.
Yeah, I laugh at that. And
I always laugh at
I'll give your listeners a secret. I did not have a personal website built when I launched my coaching program. And I launched my coaching program, and within 3 months, I was at 6 figures.
Oh, wow.
No website.
3 months. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's all personal reaching out, really, isn't it?
Yeah. In fact, those individuals that were coaching with me didn't even come through my community. And most people would think, oh, well, you build a community because then that becomes your funnel, which in most cases it does, right? The community becomes your funnel. These women that I was meeting, weren't even part of my community. They were finding me through referrals of other people. They were seeing me speak at events. They were seeing me, hearing me on podcasts like yours, Karen. And you have to get out there. You've got to get out there. You've got to meet people. Today is the easiest time to get out there and meet people because you don't even have to leave your freaking house. You
Isn't
can
it
just
wonderful?
get on.
I love it.
Yeah, you can get on networking events. I mean, I have spoken in India at 8:00 at night. That morning, I was speaking at another summit. I ran an event and I did a networking event all in one day. I mean, that never would have happened in the past. I would have lost 4 days in just traveling to go speak on a stage and come back home and spent about $3,000, or so to make that happen. So I'm sharing this with everyone because it has never been easier. And if you have excuses, they're just that. We have 2 choices. I say this every single day when I wake up. I have 2 choices. I can face the day in negativity, blow off my day, do things that don't matter, not things that are going to move my needle forward in my business, but just stuff. And then I get to wear this badge of busy, which, by the way, isn't a thing anymore that anyone even cares about. Because you're busy doesn't mean you're successful. Because you're busy just means you're spinning your wheels and you're tired, right? I have women tell me that all the time. I'm so busy. There's no way I could fit another thing in my day. It's like, well, let's look at what you're doing in your day and start getting rid of all the things that you're doing that aren't working. And let's start adding things into your day that are going to be productive, things that you can laser focus on and do for just 3 hours today that are going to move the needle forward. And though we have 2 choices right there at that moment. We either choose yes to do those things, even though it's outside of our comfort zone, but we know that we need to do these to get out there and move our business forward, or we choose not to because we let fear, false evidence appearing real, the stories that we tell us of why it's not going to work. I've heard every excuse in the book of why someone can't lose weight, of why someone isn't healthy, of why someone can't earn additional money, of why they can't. So every time you say can't, I want you to replace that word with won't, because that's what you're really saying. I won't do it. And if you won't do it, then you won't grow your business. You won't drive additional revenue, and you won't become successful, and you won't reach your goals. Those are not the people I want to work with. I don't work with women like that. I work with women that are ready to reach their peak potential. They're ready. They want more success. They want to build unlimited wealth. They want to leave a legacy behind. And you don't have to have a TV production or a podcast or a huge community or be under the lights all the time to leave a legacy. You can leave a legacy just showing up every day and being consistent in changing the lives of others.
I totally, totally agree. I love that. I love that. So, how can people get in touch with you, Colleen?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Karen. We made it easy. We finally built a website that I didn't have
Yay!
before. I've started masterminds that I've made money on. I've started, coaching businesses. That's where the thin air comes from, right? If I have an idea, I just create it and then invite people to it. And then I build the airplane while it's flying, right? Because I believe in myself and my abilities, and I believe in others. Right? We have to make this about every other person. And because of that, I built a website because, again, it's about everyone else, how they can find me, the tools that they can get when they come to my website. And that's ColleenBiggs.net. ColleenBiggs.net. You have the access to get some download freebies of how to become an instant authority, just simple steps that you can take right away, right now in your business to start building it and moving it forward to get out there so people can find you. So that's a great freebie to snag from the homepage. You can read more about our community and why maybe the LEAP community is right for you. It's a business building community. And man, the women there, they're phenomenal, Karen.
I can attest to that.
Just great. Yeah.
They are wonderful. Great. They are great. So what do you tell people who might be saying, and this happened to me, which is, I'm curious as to what you had, was, hey, I want to work with, personally, I work with women who want to have 6-figure plus businesses in the coaching world. And they'd say, yeah, I don't need 6 figures. I just, I'm getting ready to retire. I want to be able to enjoy my grandkids and whatnot. And I think to myself, and I explain to them, that's what we do. We work a lifestyle business. But how far are you going to get on 50,000 a year or less?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially right now, right? I mean, it cost me $66 to fill up my tank yesterday. And I've never cost me more than $35. That just tells you how small my tank is, in my car.
Yeah.
And so I have like a small SUV, and I was just dumbfounded on how expensive it was to fill my car. So $50,000 is not going to get you very much. In fact, an entrepreneur's minimum wage is about $120,000 a year, $10,000 a month, because on top of that, you have to pay taxes. Then on top of that, you have to pay all your membership fees like Zoom and any applications you use, a CRM you use, a newsletter company you use. You add all that up and 50% of that money is gone, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's $5,000 a month. After all of your expenses, that's what you're living on, right? Yeah. So you're living on 60 grand a year, which many people may be able to do, but you've got to make the 6 figures to get that, as profit. If in some of that's even less than that, right, Karen?
And the key really is to enjoy it. I mean, working just so that you can say, I'm working, I'm making some money, I have the extra money, and not being able to enjoy it is, to me, totally senseless.
Yeah. Yeah. No one wants to work to just barely, slide by their bills. Here's what I always tell women, especially those in transition coming out of corporate America, or do I quit my job? So many people will say, I can't afford it. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, then how did I make it work? Right? You have to believe in yourself, surround yourself. That's the other reason for the community. We are the culmination of the 5 people we hang around with the most. It is proven that your network is your net worth. So if you're not with a coach, if you're not hanging around people that are successful or on the same path as you, building that success for themselves, which to the person that you just talked about is, I'm a grandma, I want to spend more time with my grandkids. Well, the more money you have, the more time you get to spend with your grandkids, the bigger impact you get to have, the legacy that you're leaving, right? And you get to do more with your grandkids. It's no fun if you're working and not even making enough money or barely scraping by to pay your bills. You have 0 money to spend with your grandkids. So exactly. I look at that as, money is what helps us become the fullest expression of our creativity, of our productivity and generosity. That's what money allows us to do and be.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, it is. I love money for sure. It's a
And it's
wonderful
okay to
gift.
say that. It's okay to say that. It's not a taboo. If you, and I did this, oh, I don't want to charge a lot of money. I want to help everybody. Okay.
Yeah, right. And
You
well, that will
can't.
drag you down.
You can't. You cannot. The reason why you can't give discounts, you can't give things away for free consistently is because there's no value on the other side. The exchange of money, the energy in the exchange of money tells the person that's receiving the money that I need to go in, like super coach mode. It tells the person who gave the money, I'm invested in this. So I'm willing to now put in the time, the effort, what it takes to make this work. When that money is depleted or zero exchange happens, no one has any skin in the game or value.
Exactly.
So you get nowhere.
Exactly. And they are not the people that you want to work with.
No. And I always say, I use this example to my clients. If you're sitting at a conference, you've spent the whole weekend and you're just like rah, so excited. You think this person is out of the, crazy, super smart. And that's the person that's going to take your business to the next level. And they get up there and say, and you can work with me for $100 a month. And I'm going to take your business to 7 figures. You're like, for real? For $100 a month, there's no way it's $100 a month. This person's going to do all that for me, right? You kind of feel like the value and how much it's costing you doesn't line up, right? But if someone stands up there and they're saying, we're guaranteed to take your business to 7 figures. We've done it 100 times over. This is what we offer. They lay it out for you. And they say, and the total cost of the package is going to be $35,000 for the year, whatever. You're like, I got to figure out how to get that $35,000 right now. I got to run to the back of the room because I do not want to miss this deal. This is what I want. Right? We go into the mode of knowing, yes, that lines up now. What he's charging and where they're telling me I get to go lines up. And if it's where you want to go, then it's worth the investment and you will always find a way. So when people tell me I can't afford it, we said, I won't, right? Replace the word can't with I won't. They're basically saying, I don't want to spend the money on this. It's not worth the value to me because I'm sorry, Karen, but if they walked out their front door tomorrow and all 4 of their tires were flat on their car or their car didn't start and they needed it to get somewhere, they would find the money to fix that vehicle.
Yep, they would. They would.
So it's not, so we need to remember as running businesses, as business owners, when someone tells you they can't afford it, it's not our responsibility to reduce our prices to come down to where they feel they want to spend enough money and the value that they want from it. They're not your right client. Your right client sees your value, will invest in themselves and their businesses. They're not investing in you. They're not investing in you. They're investing in themselves and their businesses to move themselves forward in whatever it is that you offer. So if you offer health hacks, if you offer a health journey, if you offer weight loss, if you offer hypnotherapy to change their addictions or habits, right? Whatever it is that you offer, if you're a business coach like me, I don't have guarantees in my business. I can't say, I guarantee you'll hit 7 figures. How could I possibly guarantee that when the action has to happen from the person that's investing in themselves and their business to work with me?
Yeah.
I can't guarantee that because you have to do the action.
Well, that's where the qualifiers come in, isn't it? You say,
It is.
I can guarantee that you will move forward.
Oh, yeah.
You will make money if you do the work.
Yep.
And speak up if there is something that is not resonating. And I think the wonderful thing about our profession is that there's a coach everywhere now. And we can't coach everybody in the world. There's plenty of people out there. Another reason that you want to focus in on who you are coaching, who you're working with, because, and it could be that you or I are not the right people for that individual and they have to work up to us and get that momentum going to realize that they're ready to step into that leadership, to step into that accelerated path. And I love the fact that you have a program that really does support that for women in transition who are wondering, who are curious, who are kind of at odds. They think, maybe, not sure. There are resources out there. And I love the fact that ColleenBiggs.net is one of those amazing resources. So before we go, is there any last word? I know we already went through a lot of last word. Anything else that you'd like our listeners to know?
Yeah, if learning is beneath you, then leadership will always be beyond you.
Oh.
So if you're not willing to learn, if you're not willing to put yourself in a place where you're in action and you're learning from others and gaining wisdom, then I'm sorry, you're probably never going to be the leader that you desire to be. And the world needs more leaders right now.
Agreed. Agreed. Thank you so much for joining me on the Awesome Life podcast and on YouTube, on the YouTube Conversations with Karen Stultz. Come join us and be sure to subscribe and hit the little bells on YouTube so you will be notified of all of my amazing guests. It has been a total honor to have you, Colleen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Karen.
Bye-bye.